All right, here we go. Part 2 of inking Jinx from Arcane. And on this section, we're going to put in the deep blacks. Now if I was going to use marker on this, which I haven't decided whether I'm going to or not, I would, instead of using deep blacks, I would probably use a color. But I'm not sure if I'm going to use marker on this. So I'm just going to go straight to deep blacks and see what I can do and how it looks. And then from there, maybe I'll add in some marker highlights. But the focus point here is the eyes and the mouth. You know, this is the area. So this is where I really want a lot of the deep blacks in detail. And then as I come out, I want to kind of shape into the face, you know, that anger, that So I'm not going to do a whole lot of detail here in the hair. I'll probably do some, but as far as the deep blacks go, they'll probably be concentrated around there. I'm going to start off with the eyebrows. That's an easy one here. I definitely want those, you know, into a deep black. In part 1, I was kind of talking about the Arcane Show and Jinx. And I talked about when she was Powder and how she was a little timid, a little scared. She was, they called her Powder when she was a little kid. And then, but they said she was a Jinx, messing up the plans all the time. And then as she became her own person, she took the name Jinx and made it her own. So that was kind of cool. And one of the reasons I like Jinx is because I can sympathize with her. You know, growing up, not being as big and as strong and as cool as your big sister. I grew up and I was not as big, not as strong, not as athletic as my older brother. And, you know, it played a big part in my life on my personal development as a person. Yeah, I know I'm getting deep here, huh? This is not what this show is about. This is not what, you know, art is about. But I tell you this to explain, number 1, why I love Jinx as a character, and number 2, how I draw and paint Jinx. So I grew up, you know, trying to be like my big brother, who was cool, who was athletic, who, you know, just friends and ladies and everything cool. And then it took me a while to kind of grow into my own person. And that's how Jinx is. You know, now me and my brother didn't have a falling out, as in their story. You know, he went off to college and I went to the military, and, you know, we became our own people from there. But I can understand how Jinx is like, I want to be like my big sister Violet. And then, you know, how it kind of shaped her development. So when she got older, she took the name Jinx, and she became an ultimate badass. She was, and she's deadly now too. Like, she's blowing people up and shooting them, and look at that. Just by doing the deep blacks in the eyes and eyebrows, that's already added a lot. Ooh, she's starting to look vicious. This area here, I wouldn't normally do as a deep black, but I am. I would normally do that with color, a darker color, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a deep black. Hopefully it works. If not, I don't know. It's hard to get rid of ink. But I could lighten it up with a white gel pen if I don't like it. I don't have to take it all the way out. I could just lighten it up or put some highlights in it, put enough ink over or gel pen over it to be able to come back with a color over it, you know, and change it up that way if I wanted to. But I think that came out okay. We'll see how it looks in the end. Some of the other characters in the show, like Echo. Echo is one of the ones that surprised me because he comes back and I really wasn't expecting him to come back in such a major role. You know, when he was a kid in the show, he had a part to play, but he wasn't part of the main crew. And so when he comes back toward later in the season, and I'm like, oh, snap. And he turned out to be, you know, a big part of the show. I was like, that is cool. And it was little surprises like that that also made me really, really love the show. And I think he will have a good part to play in season 2. I'm hoping he does, because he came back as such another powerful character in the show that I'm like, oh man, I want to see him again. I want to see more of his evolution he's almost like the anti-hero. I don't want to call him a vigilante, but he's like an anti-hero. He's like a young Punisher almost. He's cool too, because I think he's blowing people up too, if I'm not mistaken. He definitely comes back a little badass, which is funny because he doesn't do thieving and fighting when they're little. You know, they hint that Via's been teaching him, some fighting techniques. But the way it's just downplayed, you just don't expect it. I don't know what other people are thinking, but I wasn't expecting it. And so it was a real treat to see him do that. What else? And honestly, when I think about the show, depending on how you look at it, you could say that there's multiple villains and multiple anti-heroes. The causes that people are pursuing and the way they pursue, the way they assume to get an end, and the means they use, the means to the end, you could say there's lots of villains and lots of heroes and anti-heroes. I don't know if there's a direct hero in the story as opposed to an anti-hero. Yeah, see, that's looking... She's starting to look pretty vicious there. I'm happy with that. I am digging it. I wonder if I should... those upper gums, should I really go deep in them? Maybe if I just do the upper lip like that. And then maybe... Ooh, I don't know. I think I'll leave it like that. That's actually pretty cool. Maybe cutting it off there and cutting it off here. Maybe I'll do that. I like it. Yeah, I don't know if there's a direct correlation between good and bad, as opposed to people who are pursuing what they think is right and doing it in their own way. Now, there are a few people in the show that I will say they're just wrong. They're no good. Baby, you no good. You no good. You no good. You no good. Baby, you no good. Like Mel's mother. Mel's mother is one of the ones that I think she just ain't a good person. She is all about power, and she don't care who she has to hurt to get it. So maybe Mel's mom is a straight up villain. She's let it be known that she don't give a damn, and makes for good story, that's for sure. And Mel is manipulative. She seems to, I haven't decided whether she's good or bad or one way or the other, but she definitely has her own agenda, and she's manipulated her way into the council. I shouldn't say she was already on the council, so she didn't manipulate her way into the council, but she has manipulated the council to her will, her whim, her desires, her wishes. And I think that's very interesting. So I'll be anxious to see, what path she decides to take. With her journey. Ooh, wow, I missed this completely. Look at that. I just missed that whole thing. Boom. See, it's parts like this. I wish I was live streaming and we could have a conversation. We could talk about the show and what's going on. But I've really been trying to get a proper setup to stream on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. I just don't have the proper setup currently, and I'm not happy about that. I'm working on it. I think I have I have my cameras, I have my computer, I have my tripod, I have my phone. I think it's just a matter of getting everything in the right place. One of the hardest parts is being able to see comments since I don't have a moderator. So I'm going to have to, so I'll probably use my computer as the control, but then I'll have my iPod set up so I can actually see what the comments are that are coming in. Oh, is that looking good or what? I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I hope you're digging it too. Because if you ain't, I don't even know what's wrong with you. So this area over here, I could detail it out, but honestly, I'm not even going to try to. When in doubt, black it out. I'm just going to take this area out of the picture so that it kind of frames the hair and the hair frames the face, which will be easy to do on this side because she wears it flipped to her right, which will make things a little bit easier for me. But on the other side, I'm going to have to figure out how to, you know, push it in so it makes sense. But adding in these deep black, and for a long time, I was scared of adding in deep blacks. I was a cross-hatching fool, let me tell you. And my friend Koo, he used to be like, stop cross-hatching, just put the blacks in there. I'm like, no, man, no, I'm not doing that. And then I did a lot of practice on just putting in the deep blacks. And I'll see if I can dig out some of those drawings where I just focused on, I did a great sketch. And even if I say so myself, I'm going to call them great sketches. And then I would go in and black them out. And I did them traditionally, not digitally. Although I probably could have done a lot more experimentation digitally. It's too easy to undo digitally. And so I was afraid that I really wouldn't get the learning that I was going after with the undo button. Because sometimes you just have to make an ugly drawing and then evaluate it and look at it. And if you undo it, you can't do that. And also, if you do everything digitally, and this is just my personal opinion, it's hard to just lay everything out on the table and judge your development. Now, you can easily post them all on the screen, put them all up, and you know, put a bunch of frames up and that type of thing. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying for me, I felt better by doing them traditionally, and then I could lay them all out over the table. For me, that's what worked, and I felt good about that. I'm gonna do some shape blackouts here, and so, and I would do a nice sketch to begin with, because I wanted to, once again, focus on making the sketch better. So I took the time to do nice sketches and then mess them up. What did it cost me? Paper. That's all. It just cost me some paper. So I don't feel like I lost anything by doing that. In fact, I think I gained a lot by doing that. Now, there were times where when I first started doing that, I got really upset at myself for jacking up a good drawing or a good sketch. But for me, that was part of the motivation of stop messing up your work. Although, when I look back, just filling it up with cross-hatching mess it up too. You know, I much prefer putting in the deep blacks now, you know, than I necessarily did with now I still use cross-hatching. I love it. But when it comes to pen and ink, I think those areas of So imagine if I just cross-hatched those eyebrows instead of just going in there with these deep blacks. Maybe it'd have been cool, but it definitely would not have been the same type of vibe. It just wouldn't have been. Oh, that's the other thing I want to talk about is my methodology for drawing Jinx specifically. So when I do some characters, you know, I'm going for a certain aesthetic, a certain realism, a certain look. When I do Jinx, I'm not going for a certain look. I am doing a certain feel. I'm going for a certain emotion. I don't draw her to be recognizable as, oh, that's Jinx from Arcane Show, even though, you know, that people will see that in the drawing. I do it so that people go, oh, I know how she feels right now. I can feel how Jinx is feeling right now. That's actually what I'm going for when I do these sketches of Jinx. That's kind of like the impact she has had on me in this show. I love the character so much. I really do. I think they did just a fantastic job. I can't stress that enough on how well she is portrayed in this show. So like in this piece here, I think it's recognizable as Jinx. I think the illustration is good. But I am going for, as the final result, I'm going for a feeling. I'm going for, I'm angry and you all have messed with the wrong person. I'm going for, I will destroy you and I won't feel bad about it. Because I kind of feel like that's how she's feeling in the moment. Like, if you watch the show, and again, I'm going to spoil some stuff here, so if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but really, you should have seen it by now. And I'm almost finished. Oh, wow. I'm hoping I got the camera right on this one. But I'm going for this scene. She meets the a group who have been, oh wow, I don't know. So it's Echo and his team. You know, they've been vandalizing loads and shipments coming into the city, and he's a villain, but she's also a villain. You know, working for, you know, one of the main villains in the show, and it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. But she pops up, and this scene right before, because you don't know it's Jinx when it starts. So the scene when she kind of pops her head out and she looks at everybody like, what's going on, guys? What's happening? And people are like, what? And then she proceeds to pull out bombs and drop bombs on people. I was like, oh, shoot. And I didn't say shoot, but I was like, oh, shoot. And yeah, it was so cool. And I was like, what? And that scene, I'm actually going to draw her in that moment right before too, where she just gives this inquisitive look like, what's going on, guys? And then, you know, rage, just like, I don't want to say it takes over. I think it's already taken over, but she unleashes it. And she's like, I don't know what you thought was about to happen, but whatever it is, wrong. And then she pulls out her bombs and throws bombs. And that's when you realize that she has learned how to make her inventions work. And that's so cool. It is so cool. And I think, so as far as the deep blacks go, I think that's what I want. Actually, nope, I'm going to pull this all the way around. I'm gonna just go ahead and black all that out. And I think that will help me frame the face. I think that helps me frame the face. The hair on this side is gonna frame this side. And the black back here, I may actually do some more blackout over on this side. But I don't want to lose the framing that this is part of the hand grenades that she has. And I think that'll help. Again, if I want to put some highlighted details in with the white pen, I can do that later into the black areas. I can pull out details as I want. But the hair on this side will frame the face on this side. And on this side, I'll have to use shadows and some deep blacks to kind of push it this way. So I'll probably frame it in the hair and under the chin a little bit more. But for the most part, oh, whoa, I just kicked the camera big time. But I think for the most part, they came out pretty good. Those are my major deep blacks. And on the third part, we'll go and start adding some details.